Welcome to Weirdstale.
Are you a weirdster like us?
Do you love the paranormal, true crime, mysteries, and stories of the just plain weird?
We're sisters, Melissa.
And Stephanie.
One of us is obsessed with telling the other every weird story she can find. Every week on our show, Weirdstale, we have a story that's sure to leave you wondering.
You might even let out a welp.
Join us in Weirdstale every Thursday for a new episode of Sisters Speculating on the Strange.
Find us in your podcast app and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Weirdstale Podcast.
And TikTok at Weirdstale Pod.
What's weird with you?
I'm Felicia.
And I'm Ian.
And we are the Paranormal Lovers.
Hello, paranormal dudes, dudettes, and dudays. Welcome back to another episode of The Paranormal Lovers.
What was that?
How you guys doing?
I hope you guys, listen, if you're on audio, just stop this, go over to YouTube, watch what the fuck he just did and what I am married to and have to deal with on a daily basis.
Just me being a dork.
Listen, he's a 16-year-old boy trapped in a 43-year-old man's body. So
It's true.
that's part of the reason why I love him, though. I'm too fucking serious all the time. So
Yeah. We're like a yin and yang.
oh, we yin and yang as a motherfucker. All right. So,
What do you
hi
got?
guys.
Or,
hang on. I'm
Sorry.
not there yet.
top of the show.
We're not there yet. We're doing things a little different.
Did you guys see my ring?
Yeah, that's his ring.
Oh,
I don't know. Yeah, let me get to the video screen so I can show it. This is mine. Yeah, we're dorks. Listen, people are like, don't get matching tattoos. We're both Star Wars fans. If you know, you know. So, in the event our marriage doesn't last, we're okay with having these. We discussed it. Don't worry.
Also, if I get frozen in carbonite.
That part too. Listen, I've already had to deal with you getting frozen by propane that was leaking out of a tank. So
This is true.
let's not.
Don't pour liquid propane on your hand. It doesn't work. It's bad.
He didn't do it. All right. So, like the forklift, y'all know what a forklift is. They have propane tanks. It was leaking and he was trying to unscrew it or turn it off or something. And he had to grab it with a rag. And he came over and his hand was like yellow and gray.
Yep, this color yellow.
Legitimately yellow. He burned his hand with like frozen propane.
Yeah.
And if anybody is in the medical field, you know how bad a freeze burn is.
Yep.
Like, it was not good. It took you months to get the feeling back in your finger.
Yeah.
Like,
It did some nerve damage.
It really did. It was rough. All right. So this week, you guys heard at the beginning of the episode, the promo for the podcast Weirdstale.
Weirdstale? Oh, that sounds it. Why didn't I pick that one?
I have no idea. I saw it and I was like, this one. And then I looked at it and I saw two Midwestern sisters that talk about whatever they have found weird during the current week.
That's awesome.
Stephanie is one of the sisters. She was there originally. She has moved on in the last few weeks to other stuff in her life. I'm pretty sure they're both parents. So, like, you know, life gets hectic and sometimes it's a different chapter. But Melissa is still there, and you can join her each week as she dives into the weird in crime, paranormal, and anything else.
Oh, it's also a town in Florida.
That's cool.
Weirdstale, Florida.
Yeah, no, this is Weirdstale from Iowa.
Huh.
Yeah, and y'all know I love a Minnesotan accent, so this is now a regular part of my week.
Oh, they're on
my
YouTube.
Podcast schedule. Yeah. This is now a regular part of my podcast schedule, so you guys go check them out. They're great. So we're going to change how we do our call to actions a little bit. I feel like some people probably just skip the end of most shows, and like, I'm not judging. I do it sometimes too, so not a big deal.
Right.
But I want to start doing our call to actions at the top of the show from now on. So with that said, bear with me for a minute. And I know people are going to be like, well, I'm just going to skip this part too. Fine, skip it. But some people are like, I don't feel like skipping. I'm driving. My hands are full. I have baby shit on them. Whatever. So they're going to listen to this part.
Right.
And who knows? Maybe they'll do something or their friends will do something.
Hopefully.
So with that said, if you would like, you can follow us on our socials, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, as well as watching our YouTube videos by searching for The Paranormal Lovers in the search bar. If you would like some merch, head on over to, theparanormallovers.threadless.com to check out all of our collections. And we will be having a sale that is very, very soon. So stay tuned on the social medias for that.
$13 shirts.
I'm not sure if it's that one or not.
Is it not that one? Okay.
I don't think so. But
My bad. Scratch that, guys.
it will be a sale, and I will let you know about it. If you would care to be a regular supporter, we have a Patreon. We have one $5 tier called Lover's Lane that you can try for 1 week free and cancel if it is not something you like. While you're there, you get early access to these videos or to the videos of these episodes, as well as a weekly episode of our true crime show, Deadly Lovers.
Yep. Lots of content over there.
So much
Come
fun.
check it out.
This show is all about love that drives people to commit murder as well as other evil intentions. Because believe it or not, it's not all couples. Sometimes I'm like, oh, well, this is a sick fuck. I'm going to cover that.
Yep.
And lastly, if you have a personal true crime or paranormal story you would like to have read on an episode of what will be known as Paranormal Personals once we actually get enough submissions for it.
Right.
Or you have a topic request, or you just want to yell at us for our super liberal opinions, email us at theparanormallovers@yahoo.com. So, with that being said, what did you love about this week?
Oh, this week. It's going to be a hard one.
It was a real rough week.
I love that Patty had her first friend come to sleep over. I mean, it didn't work out all that great because, she wound up going home in the middle of the night. But I mean,
it was a failed sleepover, but
it happens.
It does happen.
Patty had fun. The other girl had fun. That's all that matters.
Yeah, they had a blast, and I'm sure in the next 4 or 5 years, she's going to be living at her house in the summer. So.
I mean, I'm just glad Patty has friends that come do stuff with her.
Mm-hmm.
Like that I love that.
Yeah, for sure. She has quite the friends. I still think about, I remember the teachers telling me that she's kind of like Madonna at school, and that she walks down the hall and everybody's like, hey, Patty, Patty, Patty. And everybody just knows her as Patty because I'm 99% sure she's literally the only Patty in that school.
I mean, it gives me a chance to be a good dad to her friends, you know?
Yeah.
I like being a dad.
My mom was always real fun when my friends came over too, so I've kind of got that to feed off of too.
Yeah.
It's fun having her over, and it's nice kind of seeing her in away from her family. Mm-hmm. And seeing how she interacts with other people.
Sure. Because
I'm used to seeing this little girl around her mother.
Yeah. And she's totally different around her mom and dad.
Her mom is her safe space, and she lets that attitude out in full force.
Yeah. I'm sure most kids do.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. They do. And so it's really funny to see her like that. And then she comes over here and she knows us. Mm-hmm. But she's afraid of me, obviously. So she's a totally different kid over here with us. She's real polite and just did everything great. So
what did you love about this week?
I enjoy that my child is having a fun summer with her friend.
Did you have a specific part of your week where you were like, oh, well, that was cool, while you were watching them over there?
I mean, honestly,
the chickens,
surprisingly,
you like feeding the chickens?
Of course, I love feeding the chickens. Listen, if we didn't live here, we'd have chickens. Okay, those chickens would be coming over here
for sure.
5 of them.
Right.
So,
it makes me wish that I kind of did things different about this house, because then I could have still had the other house.
Yeah.
And because the other house that we had in a town called Canton. It was restricted land, so it was kind of like a farmhouse already. So we could have had it.
I see what you're thinking. We
Could
could
have
have
done
just rented this
a
place
lot of
out
things. Yeah.
and then used the money from this to pay
Yeah.
for that, plus like have
Yeah.
chickens and a goat.
It'd have been a lot different, but
Could have had a goat. It would have been a lot different.
but you
'cause let me
can't
tell you
change the
what,
past.
I feel
Yeah.
safer here because we have neighbors, but also I stay in my house a lot more
Right.
because we have neighbors.
For sure.
So, it's kind of a catch-22, folks, wherever you live, honestly.
It is.
All
I mean,
right.
you face problems wherever you are.
You really do. I will admit, though, I was born in a city, and I'm kind of a city girl through and through. I just miss the convenience of living in a city.
Yeah.
You just walk out your door and go get something.
You're a lot closer in the city to your neighbors than you are here. You have to kind of be
kind of. I mean, you can find places where, if you go a little further outside of like the major city center.
But just like the interaction between like
Yeah.
people where you're at in the city is like, I don't know.
But see, then
It's
there's also like
totally different experience.
there's the catch-22 of like, yeah, you're a lot closer to your neighbors, but then again, say if you lived in an apartment building versus in a neighborhood like we live in where it's all old people, you're a lot more likely to have like kids and stuff for your kid to play with and
For sure.
stuff. So you don't have to drive half an hour to see their friends.
You're a lot like emotionally closer with them than
kind of have to be.
Yeah, you kind of have to be.
You really have to be. Either that or you just like are a hermit. All right. You ready?
Sure.
Okay.
What do you got for us this week?
So this would be my cryptid week. This is not a cryptid, but this is a creature of folklore. And of course, Jewish folklore. Obviously, still June, even though it should have been last month, but whatever. So this week what am I doing? This week we are going to be looking at the legend of the Jewish Golem. Now, I say Jewish Golem because the Golem has been used in stories and entertainment for centuries. I want to focus on the original legend of this creature. From Wikipedia, quote, a golem is an animated anthropomorphic being in Jewish folklore which is created entirely from inanimate matter, usually clay or mud, end quote. For many, the golem is symbolic and it seems to have a wide range of meanings. The main being a reference to someone who is of low intelligence, so it seems to be commonly used as a way to be mean, even bordering on being a slur, but probably just sensitive, but you'll kind of see what I mean about that in a minute. Oh, hang on, y'all. This sun kiss is giving me all the burps today. Now, my very limited knowledge before this research of the golem comes from season 8, episode 13 of the hit TV show Supernatural. And this episode titled Everybody Hates Hitler. And no, it is not the episode where Dean kills Hitler. A young man who is the grandson of a rabbi who was murdered by Nazis finds himself in possession of his grandfather's golem. Played by John DeSantis, no relation. The golem is awoken by the rabbi for protection against a Nazi party called the Thule. Do you remember that?
Maybe.
He was a really big guy, and he like hits Dean. I remember him like tackling Dean in the parking lot, I think. And like the nerd, I think you've probably only watched it once, but in the episode, he had a manual that he had gotten from his grandfather that like had all the instructions on how to do all like the rituals and stuff. And he was like, I didn't realize how important it was. I used it for rolling papers. College. So.
Oh, that's horrible. I mean, I always heard you could use Bible paper. But...
I knew people that use Bible paper. Listen, if you're ever desperate, take a gum wrapper, like the extra gum, scrape the foil off of it, and use that. It tastes delicious. It really does.
I mean, I've heard of Stranger Things using tampons and such, but
God. Yeah, I could see that. Now, Most people scoff at references to popular fictional shows, and I get it. But it's not just because I'm a part of the family that I mention it. The show's creators really tried to respect cultures and get the parts that fit their storylines correct.
Sure.
They, of course, would go off topic a lot, but if it didn't fit into the storyline they were going with, I mean, it's a fictional show.
Yeah, but I mean, Mankey put some pretty good work into Supernatural. That's hands down one of our favorite shows.
Mankey?
Yeah, Aaron Mankey.
Eric Kripke.
Kripke. My bad.
That's funny. That's funny as hell right there, especially since Aaron Mankey is friends with Misha Collins. Like, that is hilarious. Oh my god. Anyways, it was that episode that led me to like become interested in the topic of golems and really do my own research on it. And from the research, they actually got the legend pretty damn accurate on the episode. So
yeah.
In the Christian Bible, the word golem is used to describe Adam before he was given the breath of life. He was a figure made out of clay that represented the people that God wanted to create, but was not yet a human. The Mishnah uses it to describe someone who is unsophisticated. For us non-Jewish folks, the Mishnah is the first collection of the oral Torah. In modern times, it can be used to describe someone who is quote unquote dumb and or helpless. Hence why I feel like it can be used as a slur in some instances.
Right.
But the oldest stories of golems come long before the birth of Jesus. Since the earliest days of Judaism, there have been many stories of golems. Unlike Adam, these golems will never become fully human, and in the beginning, one of their major defects was that they couldn't speak. During the Middle Ages, studies were undertaken to attempt to understand how to create a golem. Some of the earliest written accounts of how to create a golem come from the 12th and 13th century.
Wow.
That is 1100 and 1200. Damn near 1,000 years ago.
That's wild.
That is wild. To create a golem, and this is very basic information, a figure is created out of stone or clay. Nowadays, metal or some other terrestrial material may be used. Then there is a ritual performed to inscribe a piece of paper with a shim. And I hope I'm saying these words right, y'all. I meant to like do a pronunciation thing and I didn't. I'm sorry. I pronounce things phonetically. We know this.
Yeah.
Then there is a ritual performed to inscribe a piece of paper with a shim or one of the many names of God. The paper is then folded up and placed in either the forehead or the mouth of the golem. This activates the golem and it will stay activated until the shim is removed. In other stories, a word such as a emet or a truth is inscribed on the golem's forehead. Removing one of the letters or characters and making emet into met or truth into death will deactivate the golem. Now, this is typically only done by a rabbi or some other person of the Jewish faith who is very, and I want to say magical because I can't think of what the word is. Like, I know there's a word for like religious people that like do magic, but I can't think of it, but y'all know what I mean. And one must be very careful when giving instructions to their golem. The word golem, as another word for the word dumb, not to describe somebody, but as another word for the word dumb, is valid as these creatures take their instructions very literally and have zero common sense. None. Like, say you freak out and say you want them to kill, there's an army coming. Okay? You're like, you see those guys? They're wearing blue. Kill them. Kill the guys wearing blue.
Right.
If you don't specify, kill the guys wearing blue with this banner on them or this marking, these weapons, these helmets, they're going to kill everybody wearing blue.
Right.
Because you said kill the guys wearing blue.
Right.
Okay. Hey, guys wearing blue. Dead. Like,
He's got a blue tattoo.
Although
he's dead.
I will say that in the episode of Supernatural, That Gollum was actually a smartass, and
Was
I
he?
loved it. Yeah, like he kept giving like the kid that like had control of him, he kept giving him shit because he didn't know what the fuck he was doing. He was like, "Take control," and he's like, "I don't know what you're talking about." He's like, "Of course you don't." Like, it was hilarious. We'll have to watch that again
For
because
sure.
I miss me some Supernatural.
Yeah, we need to do some rewatch
Yeah, for sure. All right.
now that Patty's getting older.
Yeah, there's still a few episodes we're gonna have to skip. Like, she can't watch that Wendigo episode yet.
Right.
Mm-mm. I don't even like it because he eats like raw meat straight out of the fridge.
Do you know there's a Marvel Golem?
Yes. Yes, I did. I know that there's a lot of Gollum because I did the research for this.
Right.
And if you think about it, hang on, guys, getting off track here. Golem is also a golem, kind of,
Right.
because he's the precious.
Right.
Protect the precious.
There's a I'm scrolling through pictures of golems. There's a lot of art around golems, and found one on Screen Rant. It says Captain America is a Jewish golem.
I mean, he does just kind of like pop up when they need him.
Right.
Interesting.
Interesting thought.
Well, yeah, it is, because if you think about it, he was like created to be a soldier.
Yeah.
And then he went to sleep in ice, and then he came back out to be a soldier.
Yeah.
So yeah, you should look up some pictures. Have you seen any pictures for that episode? Supernatural.
I don't think so, but there's a lot of pictures that I'm looking through right here, so maybe
You'll know because it's typically like a picture of Dean with the golem. So
right.
one of the most well-known legends is that of the Golem of Shelem. Writings from a Polish Kabbalist from 1630 to 1650 state, quote, "And I have heard in a certain and explicit way from several respectable persons that one man close to our time, whose name is Rabbi Eliyahu, the master of the name, who made a creature out of matter and form, and it performed hard work for him for a long period, and the name of Emet was hanging upon his neck until finally he removed it for a certain reason, the name from his neck, and it turned to dust," end quote. In 1748, Rabbi Jacob Enden also wrote an account of this story as told by his father, a descendant of Rabbi Eli. In his account, the golem grew so large, Rabbi Eli feared he would destroy the earth. As he was removing the nameplate, the golem injured him, scarring his face in the process. This legend is well known and had circulated orally for years before ever being written down. One of the most famous stories of a golem comes from Prague in the late 16th century. During this time, Rudolph II, Holy Roman Empire, Empire, I'm going to say empire, it's emperor. Emperor. Yeah, pretty much. Was in power and was set to either kill or expel all the Jews from Prague. To protect them, Rabbi Lo ben Bezalel Bezalel, I don't know,
Bizlau.
quote, created a golem out of clay from the banks of the Vltava River and brought to life through rituals in Hebrew incantations to defend the Prague ghetto from anti-Semitic attacks and pogroms, end quote. A pogrom, because you know I gotta know, is, quote, a violent riot incited with the aim of massacring or expelling an ethnic or religious group, particularly the Jews, end quote.
That does not sound cool.
It's not cool. It's not cool at all. I'm pretty sure it's what's going on over there right now, but I don't know enough.
Right.
Rabbi Lo's golem was called Joseph, and Rabbi Lo gave him a special amulet that let him turn invisible. The rabbi also taught him to use a spell to raise the spirits of the dead. He worked from Sunday to Friday, and Friday evening, Rabbi Lowe would deactivate him so that he would rest on the Sabbath, because their Sabbath's Saturday.
Right.
Now, this story kind of deviates here a little bit. One source says he forgot to deactivate him one Friday night. Another says that the golem fell in love and was rejected. Either way, he ended up going on a rampage. Some sources claim was a murderous rampage, until the rabbi was able to remove the shim from him in front of the synagogue. The golem fell apart right there, and the rabbi had the pieces stored in a room in the attic of the old synagogue where they should be resting today. He then forbade anyone from going into the room other than his predecessors. One such predecessor rabbi attempted to go into the room many years later, but only got to the top step before he turned around, left, and said, nobody goes in that room. Now, I say that they should be resting there today, but back in 1883, the attic was renovated, and allegedly there were no pieces of the golem found. This led to rumors that the pieces were stolen and buried in a cemetery somewhere in Prague. Now, while this is a fascinating story, there are no known written accounts of this legend before the 1900s. It is believed that the dates were changed to make the story correlate with the time Rabbi Lowe would have been in Prague. Just throwing that out there, but maybe they just didn't write it down until the 1900s.
Right.
It's bullshit, but maybe. Because a story that fascinating, I don't know, Charles Dickens or somebody would have fucking got a hold of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which, obviously, you can Google stories and books that have golems in them. There's a lot.
There is a lot.
Now, in other cultures, there is the story of a creature called the clay boy. In this legend, a lonely couple makes a child out of clay, but he does not stop eating and does not stop growing until eventually he consumes everything around, including his parents. With stories of golems that continue to grow, in some instances, once the rabbi is able to remove the shim, the golem's large body falls apart and on top of the rabbi, crushing him. So while the golem is ultimately there to help and protect, there can be a dangerous tool to use. That is why only rabbis are allowed to create them, folks. And that, folks, is the legend of the golem. Like I told you earlier, it's a pretty simple legend.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, like in a lot of these pictures, I'm seeing metal bands on parts of him that are cracked. Is that like a thing?
My guess would be it's just to hold them together. Yeah.
Right.
Just a way to seal it. But I don't really know.
And then there's also...
I didn't see anything about that in my research, so...
There's also a lot of Frankenstein pictures. Is Frankenstein a golem?
Yes. Yes, it was referenced in my research as well, but Frankenstein is kind of also a golem because he's made out of various parts put together, and he is not really smart.
Yeah.
He kind of has to be told exactly what his quote-unquote master wants him to do. So, yes. Yeah. I'd say he's a golem. I was trying to think of other golems that I could think of off the top of my head, but I'm not sure.
There's like a black and white movie there's a lot of pictures of it in here.
Yeah, I don't know. I always just found them fascinating, and
maybe the Golem of Prague.
That is the story that I just told. Were you listening or were you scrolling?
I'm just scrolling, looking at pictures.
I'm like, I'm gonna fight you. Don't make me come over there. So yeah, that's the legend of golems. I find them fascinating. Like
that's kind of cool.
Season 8 of Supernatural, which was probably like 2010-ish.
It reminds me of me and my buddies were smoking weed like back in my 20s, and one of them just started like raving about a golem that was following him around, but he was like scared to death of it. And
He should be.
It kind of freaked us out.
If there's a golem following you
You're like,
around,
"What?"
you've pissed off a Jewish person somewhere.
Like,
Like, watch the fuck out, bro.
Oh man.
Yeah, no, it's not good.
Right.
Also, I don't know what the fuck y'all were tripping on, but probably don't get none of that shit again. God dang, I don't want none of that. All right, guys. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that episode, and we will see you guys next week.
See you guys.
Love you. Bye.
We love you. Bye.